Hello, Seth Morris, attorney at Liberty Law Group, coming to you from the warm and balmy city of Lincoln, Nebraska, where I'm definitely not questioning why do I live here when I have options to move. So I hope you guys are staying safe and warm. For today's Liberty Brief, I'm going to be discussing 5 things that you must do in a traffic stop and 5 things that you do not have to do in a traffic stop. And so through the years, right, I didn't grow up in a family of attorneys. I grew up north of Columbus out in the country. You hear a lot of things that I call barstool wisdom, or somebody that knows somebody. This is what you have to do. This is what you don't have to do. Well, let's just take it from an attorney here. This is not an exhaustive list, but here's 5 things on each side. That way you can know and have this knowledge in your back pocket. So first, if you're pulled over, so whether it's for speeding, maybe the officer's helping you change your tire and just ask to see this information, you must present proof of a valid license, that you have valid registration, and that you have active car insurance. So you have to have these 3 things to drive a vehicle on the road, and you have to present them to an officer when you make contact on the road. Second thing that you must do, if the officer orders you to, you must take a preliminary breath test. The preliminary breath test is the little stick to blow thing that they'll give you on the side of the road. Failure to do that is a Class 5 misdemeanor. It's not a huge fine, but again, we don't need to get ourselves in any more trouble. The third thing is, if they take you down to either the jail station, some places call it detox, they have different names for it across the state of Nebraska, but if they put you in front of this kind of typewriter box looking thing, hand you a hose, tell you to blow, you have to blow. Failure to do that basically gets you charged with a second DUI, but you actually face license penalties right out of the gate, including a loss of license, no driving at all, no interlock for 90 days, which if you live anywhere in Nebraska, public transportation is not great. That's not something you want to have to deal with, so we don't need to double down on our problems. Fourth, this is most common in DUI marijuana or DUI under the influence of drugs, is you must submit to a urine test. Why they have people submit to a urine test for marijuana, not for me to decide. All that proves that you were in Boulder last week at Willie Nelson concert getting Rocky Mountain High out there, but that's what they try to use to prove that you were currently under the influence of marijuana. You do have to submit to that, or you have the refusal penalties we discussed earlier. And this can get a little bit tricky, but you must comply with a lawful order. And what I say by tricky is it's not always clear what is a lawful order and what is the officer asking questions. So when in doubt, all you have to do is, officer, is this a lawful order? If they say yes, then listen to them. Because failure to comply with a lawful order can get you a Class 1 misdemeanor. It's a $1,000 fine, up to a year in jail, or both. Okay, so those are 5 things that you have to do. Now let's get to 5 things you don't have to do. First, you do not have to submit to a blood draw without a warrant. So you do have to submit to a breath or a urine test, but you don't have to let them stick a needle in your body, and that's exactly why. The Supreme Court held that's an intrusion into your body. So if they come and say, hey, we want you to submit to this breath test, say, get a warrant, bro. Well, maybe not bro, but get a warrant, and if they do get a warrant, now you have to submit. You do not have to allow officers to search your car. So they say, can I have permission to search your car? You simply say, no, I don't consent to searches. And that's the end of that. Sometimes they'll say, would you consent to me having a trained canine come around your vehicle? Again, no, you don't consent to searches. So you don't have to consent to a drug dog. And ultimately, maybe they will search your car. Maybe they will run a drug dog around your car. But if you do not consent to that, that's where I, as an attorney, come in and I can help level the playing field for you against law enforcement. Another thing that you do not have to do is you do not have to consent to field sobriety tests or perform standard field sobriety tests. And there's 3 standard field sobriety tests in Nebraska. So you have the horizontal gaze nystagmus, where they hold the pen in front of your face and do the eye test. They do the 1-leg stand, and they do the 9-step walk and turn. You don't have to do any of those. You don't have to give them an excuse. You don't have to tell them about your beer league softball injury when you broke up a play at home plate. You don't have to tell them about that. You say, I'm not going to do that. And that's it. And finally, and this applies to not only traffic stops, but to any contact with law enforcement, you don't have to make any statements. So they ask you, where are you coming from? Where are you going? Who are you with? What were you doing there? How long you were there? Any of those things, you can simply say, I'm not here to talk about my day. I'm not going to answer any questions. Here's my license. Here's my registration. Here's my proof of insurance. So those are quick tips. Again, I try to make it quick, but I'm a lawyer. I like to talk. It's kind of part of the job. So again, I'm encouraging everybody, stay safe, stay warm, get inside, spend some quality time with your loved ones, maybe do a little ice fishing when it warms up a little bit. But if you or a loved one has any issues with law enforcement or is involved in an accident that's not your fault, give Liberty Law Group a call. Thank you.